What's going on, Mom and Dad? Brad and Greta Zude, mybabycansleep.com, influencer parenting. And on this podcast, in this video, we're going to talk about baby crying. Is it good? Should I do it? How long should I let them cry for? What the heck is cortisol? Is this going to be some mom war revolution, the battles of the cries and not cries?
It might be.
That's what we're going to talk about on this episode. It's going to be a good one. So if you're listening to this on iTunes or Spotify, welcome to the podcast. Don't forget to drop a subscribe and a 5-star review. It'd be amazing. And if you're watching this on YouTube where you can see us rocking in the studio, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It actually would mean the world to us to do so.
All right.
Absolutely.
You're like really excited about baby crying. I'm
pretty sure my mom let me cry, and look how fabulous I turned out.
really excitable.
It makes me exciting.
I guess so.
Well, your mom let you cry. All moms. So we're mid-30s.
I don't remember.
Yeah, all 1980s moms let their kids cry.
You're like super energetic, and I feel like when we record this late at night, I'm at the end of my day.
You're at the end of
I'm at the end
of the rope.
So
we get the leftovers.
You see a lot of my yawning, and so every time I'm on the video thing.
You're spoiling it for the podcast listeners, though. They, in their mind, they think of you as like, this is like 9 a.m. and fresh cup of coffee and ready to face the day. Not
9 a.m., 9 p.m.
But when you have a week like we did,
yeah,
which is pretty crazy, I can see why you're a teensy bit
worn
worn out. And you are yawning. Wow. That Brad and Greta, they're just so real. They just lay it all on the line. They're not trying to be perfect.
I'm tired. Hey, I'm not. I am not super mom.
So Annika, our oldest, who's 11, standing in the kitchen, and Peter, our dear, sweet Peter.
6, almost 7-year-old.
6, almost 7-year-old, who is all boy and full of life. You want to talk about someone that's just excitable and full of life.
He is
that
your
guy
child.
Is all welled up with life. Is having oatmeal. Because we're going through this phase in our marriage / parenting to where, I don't know, we're like teaching our kids like stuff that we did. So we got like when stuff we did when we were kids. So we got like Eggo waffles the other day and
toaster pastry.
Yeah, toaster strudels.
Yes.
And
yeah, like all those good cereals.
Yeah, and like I don't know, I got Nutty Bars, for them because they never had Nutty Bars.
Not all
and
at the same time, mind you, because we don't like to be that unhealthy and pump our kids full of sugar. But the occasional treat is good.
We're trying to carry on the tradition, and so oatmeal. The instant oatmeal packets. Maple brown sugar, apple cinnamon,
and the only way
peaches and cream.
The only way to make them is to heat up the water first. Like I don't know who puts the water in and then heats it up in the microwave.
Yeah, that's
gross.
Just
bad. It's just like
if you
really
did that,
nasty
we
fluff
can't be friends.
No.
That's
so,
your mama taught you wrong if that's how you did it.
So Peter is. I see it out of the corner of my eye happening. He grabs the oven mitts, and I have never let any of the kids take the water out of the microwave. Never.
Mm-hmm. And he means well. He's trying.
Does. He's very,
he's not,
very independent.
Yeah.
And just like, hey, I want to do this myself. I'm not gonna ask mom. I'll do it myself. So he takes the oven mitts out of the drawer, and he goes.
That look like pillows, on his arms, like they're adult size oven mitts that are not the best setup for a 6-year-old to begin with.
So he's walking with the
scalding
hot water, and it just sloshes a little bit, and it sloshes onto his sister's leg, and it was so hot that the skin blistered and burst like instantly, and so we got a nice nasty burn from that.
And I had a really embarrassing moment because Greta and I are talking, and we're talking about the degree of the burn. she's like, oh, it's got to be probably like a 2nd-degree burn. And I'm like, oh, well, at least it wasn't a 1st-degree burn. And, I don't know, maybe it's all the rioting and all the whatever, who's getting, what kind of charge. And I mixed up my murder charges with my burns.
Easy to do.
Thinking that a 1st-degree burn
Would definitely be the worst.
Would definitely be the worst. And then what else happened? So then another week we did something kind of cool. You guys did something kind of cool.
We did. We went to a geode mine. And I had never really heard of these. A friend of ours went, and apparently geodes form close to riverbeds. I don't know. So we drove 2.5 hours, and we went to this place that looked like we were driving into a junkyard. It was kind of bizarre. And we stop, and this guy lets us put some pickaxes in the back of the van, and we're driving down the road and all bumpity bumping, and we get to a big pile of dirt.
Yeah, now when you say geode mine, it makes everyone think kind of like coal mine, but it obviously was not like a cave. No. It's just like
a pile of dirt. Yes.
And did he buy these geodes and cover them up and put dirt over them?
No, not at all. It's like you just use your pickaxe, or I used a hammer, and you just kind of dig into the side. And he takes his tractor and moves the dirt so that you're getting some fresh new stuff. And I think he had just done that. So you just kind of dig in, and then you see these nice round rocks, and you pull them out. And apparently the rule is not to crack on site, but we didn't know that rule ahead of time. And so every time we found one, and we have...
Why would they not want you to crack on
because
site?
Because they don't want you to crack them and then just leave them and not pay for them, I think. So we're cracking them open, and we've got kids from, let's see, we have...
we only have 8 kids of our own, and then
we went with friends that have 5. So we had 13 children, and
shoveling and a pickaxe in and a swinging.
Yeah, it was a wee bit scary. I was a little close. I think the same child had the hammer quite close to my head at one point. A little scary. No injuries though. Surprisingly, no injuries there. But it was pretty fun because we would get it and we'd crack it open, and I mean the excitement of whatever we found in there was like, woo! Every 5 seconds, woo! Wow, look at these amazing crystals, and it was pretty exciting. It was really fun. So yeah. Every little girl's dream to open a rock full of crystals, right?
But meanwhile, back in the background, a baby's crying. And we's a wondering, should that a baby be a crying?
Is it dangerous?
Is it dangerous? Yeah, but I read somewhere online, Greta, that those babies get elevated cortisol levels, and it does not only permanent physical brain damage, but long-lasting, irrecoverable emotional damage as well. They feel abandoned.
I liked your transition, by the way.
They're just a bit. Did you like that?
Yeah.
It just came up, and I took advantage of it. It happened.
Okay. Well, if you know us, if you know anything about us, if you know anything about our baby program, you know that we are okay with, you could even say in support of, babies crying.
And for those of you that are not familiar with us, we're #1 best-selling baby sleep authors, and we work with thousands of families all over the world through our program at mybabycansleep.com. So that's where we come in, and that's where we get to talk about crying. We're professionals. Don't try this at home. Or try this at home.
Do try
this at home.
With some wisdom.
With some wisdom.
Now, okay.
So tell us what that looks like.
Okay, so first of all, I do want to start off by saying that to leave your child to scream and cry all the time without giving them love and affection and fulfilling their needs, that would be bad. I want to put that out there ahead of time, because that is not what we would be in favor of doing. And that has not been what we have ever done. So
yeah, I think to start things off, we would say that there's good ways to do crying, and there's definitely, positively, very, very bad ways to do crying.
Yes. So anyway, a lot of the people that would say that crying is bad for your baby, and we are in kind of an era of attachment parenting right now, where that's kind of the main philosophy of parenting and of baby training. And if you were to let your baby cry, you
just don't love them.
You would be doing all this harm and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's this thing that we've been told that it's very, very bad. And we've been told that when you let your baby cry, the cortisol level increases, which is the stress hormone. It's the hormone that gives you that fight or flight response to things. And if the cortisol levels remain high for an extended period of time, it can do damaging things to the brain. Not good. And so we take this information that we're being told by medical professionals or other well-intentioned parents, and we're like, oh, we can't do that. This is gonna, I'm gonna harm my baby. And then we live in fear. And then what ends up happening is that our children never sleep. We get sleep deprived. Our baby is sleep deprived, and
they end up crying more. By the way,
there's a lot more.
There's a lot more stress.
Exactly. And actually, there have been studies that I've read about where the stress level is higher for families that don't sleep, and their cortisol levels are higher than babies who have been sleep trained and cry for a specific period of time.
Yes.
While in training.
Yes.
Anyway, so back to cortisol levels, I guess. Yes, crying does raise the cortisol level. However, when we say there are good ways to let your baby cry, we are speaking about a specific period of time, a specific period of training. And typically at the end of this training, babies will either have a very short period of crying before they put themselves to sleep, or they don't even cry at all. And so you get to the point where you can lay babies down for naps without crying, or they cry 5 minutes and then they fall asleep, or they cry 30 seconds and they fall asleep. And typically there is absolutely no crying at night after the training period. Will there be some crying at night? Yeah, there'll be some crying at night if they have to get out of a habit feeding. But it's usually over the course of a couple days.
And that's the cool thing. See, God designed our bodies, our internal clocks, to shift our internal clocks very, very quickly. So think about, let's say we all hop on a plane together and we're going to fly to Hawaii. And Greta and I actually did this a couple years ago now. And when we got there, we were like stoked, so excited to go to the beach. But there was only one problem. It was like 2 a.m. And so we had a choice to make. We're like, well, we can either stay on, Iowa time the whole time and be nocturnal, or we can jumpstart our bodies onto the new schedule. And the way it works, if you've ever done, big time zone gapped or international travel, is that the first day you go, you're like wrecked, right? The second day, it's a little bit better. And by that third day, you're kind of starting to be in the groove. And when you take a systematic approach to teaching your baby the skill of going from fully wide awake to fully asleep without the help of anyone or anything, which is the true definition of sleep. Which is funny because, so many parents like, oh, I want to get my baby sleeping, but they don't even know what the definition of that is. Getting baby to go from fully wide awake to fully asleep without the help of anyone or anything.
Yeah, a lot of people can get their baby to go to sleep with, nursing to sleep, or like nursing all night long. They sleep all night long while they nurse, right? Next to you in bed, and that's not really accomplishing the skill.
Yeah, that's not a skill. It's independent sleep, right? It's like teaching a 4-year-old how to ride their bike without training wheels. They don't have the skill, or they can't ride without the training wheels unless you take the training wheels off. And then they actually don't ride a 2-wheel bike if there's still training wheels. You gotta have the training wheels off.
Right.
In order to consider them actually knowing how to ride a bike. And the same thing with sleeping.
Right. Yeah, so while there is that period of crying for the training period, and possibly stress levels are higher during that period for your baby, you're always coming back to that nurturing relationship, and either nursing your baby or feeding your baby, playing with your baby, talking with your baby, having that bond and that relationship. This is completely different from the kind of studies that have been used by medical professionals to cite that this crying is a bad thing. Mm-hmm. The one study that they often cite,
that they all cite,
they do, was done in a Romanian orphanage. I don't even know how many years ago now. I don't know.
Yeah,
I haven't looked at the study for a while. A long time ago. And of course, these children had brain damage.
Well, so you have to tell the whole story. So these babies, so in Romania, they were in a time of economic depression, and one of the ways that that the Romanian government was going to help bring back the economy was to urge everyone to have babies. And so there was this baby boom, and what happened is that a lot of babies were being put up for adoption, all this kind of stuff. So they filled these orphanages with these babies, and sometimes it would be like 30 to 1, like one person would be in charge
crazy ratios.
of like 30 literal infant babies. And just logistically, some of these babies were, literally cried all day long, days on end kind of thing.
And then what happens is they learn that no one is coming, and so they stop crying. And so then that's what people will say, like, oh, they stopped crying because they figured out that you don't love them and you won't come and you won't rescue them. Well, was that true for the Romanian orphanage or orphans? Yes. That was true for them. They got to such a level of despair that there was nothing left for them, and they never cried again, which could happen. They were completely neglected. That is not okay. But we're not doing that. For sure. We're not doing that. That's not what we are peddling here. When you are in a loving and nurturing relationship with your baby, it is okay for them to cry for a while. And actually, that breeds independence. Not just in sleeping, but your child knows that, hey, I'm okay to be by myself. It's okay.
And what I think a lot of people do is they place advanced human emotion and advanced human thoughts into tiny newborn babies. And most babies cry. You want to know why most babies cry? Most babies cry because they want to go to sleep, but they haven't been taught the skill how. Right? That's why they cry. They're tired. And we take it for granted, right? Like if you wake up in the middle of the night and you get up and go to the bathroom or whatever, like check your iPhone and do whatever, you know how to then go get back in bed, fluff your pillow, roll over to your favorite position, and go to sleep. Mm-hmm. Like this is a skill that we have 30, 20, 30, 40 years practice in. And it's hard to even think in our minds that just doesn't come natural to a newborn baby. Like it's literally a skill that you have to teach baby how to do and perform. And they don't know how to do that. See, babies are born with the ability to sleep, but they're not born with the ability to put themselves to sleep.
Right. So crying is a form of communication from an infant to a parent, right? Or care provider. And they are sending a message, and it could be, I'm hungry, I'm tired, I have a dirty diaper. It could, or I'm just not happy where I'm at right now. And so when they're sending this message, it might be that they're not happy, or I don't know how to go to sleep, or I would prefer some comfort to help me go to sleep because I'm tired. And we have to give them the opportunity to learn the skill on their own. It's not something that can be taught with intervention.
So we call it building cry equity, right? So most parents, well, let me back up. So your baby cries, right? Bottom line, your baby cries. And the people who I think oppose crying act as though their baby never cries, right? But when their baby cries, it's not building towards something, right? It's just kind of like this random crying. So like imagine going to the gym and working out like your left arm, and then your right hamstring, and then your left quad, and then your right bicep, and like just all this random stuff, and like it's not inside of a plan that's working toward fitness, right? Well, when you build cry equity, you're actually moving in a direction to where it builds upon itself, right? Just like you have equity in a home as opposed to renting, it builds upon each other systematically, and then it actually accomplishes a goal. It's not just random crying.
Yeah. I actually feel like I don't know my children as well when they're first newborn. I don't feel like I know them as well as when I start and we don't sleep train a newborn to sleep through the night, but when we start on a routine for the day and I put my baby down for naps, we do that maybe like a week in or so after everybody's gotten their fill of baby snuggles, because we've got 8 children and everybody wants to, well, not including the baby, but everybody wants to hold the baby, right? So 9 other people want to hold this baby. So anyway, after that first week, I'm like, okay, we're pretty much done. Let's put her down. And I'm ready for that. Everybody's ready for that. And I really know my baby so much better when they're on a routine and they're predictable and I know why she's crying.
Yep.
As opposed to, oh boy, she might be crying because she's hungry. She might be crying because she's tired. And when she gets a really good nap because she's put herself to sleep and then she's had a really good feeding, then I really feel like I know my baby so much better at that point.
And I think the bottom line is that you can accomplish a solid baby routine and nighttime sleep far below any type of dangerous levels of cortisol or any type of dangerous activity, damaging activity by a mile.
Well, and you can even say that not giving them this skill is more dangerous.
Yeah, so ask yourself this question, like if you hate crying, okay, which is more crying? Your baby crying for an hour every day for the next 6 months, or your baby crying for, while they're training and then they fall asleep. So if you actually don't like crying, what you need to do is teach your baby the skill of going to sleep, and then that actually is way less crying than what your baby's going to do now.
Yeah, and it's so much healthier for everybody to get the rest they need. And
it's God's design. Look, God designed babies to sleep. That's what they do. They just need some help starting out, right? It's like God designed babies to breastfeed, right? And some babies pick up on that right away. Some need a little extra help, whatever. But that's the design of mankind.
So one thing you said you were going to answer: how long is too long?
How long is too long? Well, so it depends on age, right? And again, what I don't want you to hear is that we're not trying to get newborn babies to sleep through the night.
No.
Okay? If you get into, 8 hours by 10 weeks, that kind of a stuff, that's kind of the goal. So how long here's the deal. The first time that you teach your baby to go to sleep independently without any sleep crutches, as we call them, rocking or whatever, they're not gonna get it. Okay, they don't get it on the first time. They don't get it on the second time you let them try. They don't get it on the third time, okay? But you get up in that fourth, fifth, sixth time that you let them experience this thing. You know, again, imagine your 4-year-old learning how to ride that bike without training wheels, right? It takes a little time to have happen. So you're gonna set a time limit depending on the age of what's gonna happen. But here's what we know: baby will gladly cry for 20 to 30 minutes until you come in and get them. Mm-hmm. No problemo.
Especially the older they are.
Especially the older they are.
Because they're a little bit wiser.
So, you know, again, I'm not recommending, you know, a 3-day-old cry for 30 minutes. But what I am saying, you know, if you have a 4-month-old in the sleep regression, they will gladly cry 20 to 30 minutes until you come get them and do what they want. So, at least that long. At least that long. For sure. No doubt.
Yeah. And you might not feel comfortable letting your newborns cry as long. And that's okay.
And we're not recommending,
yeah,
you know, that. See, when you have a newborn baby, so Greta and I, we have 8 kids, like she said, and we just had a new baby. Aubrey is
5 weeks.
5 weeks old. And we're just like heading in the direction of like good solid routines and just making sure that there aren't things that we have to like undo at this point, right? If you can concentrate on full feedings and not developing bad habits, like you're ahead of 95% of other moms, dads, and families out there. So that's, again, obviously the goal. But when a baby has a stomach big enough and food inside that stomach in the proper way, they get all the calories that they need to sustain for long periods of time, then, hey, you're free to then begin to sleep train your baby, and it's going to be longer than a half an hour. Should it be longer than an hour? Probably not, because they're not going to get it the first time or the second time or the third time or the fourth time. But you get up in that fifth, sixth time, they're going to be really close to getting it, and yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's important to point out that it's very baby specific and parent specific too, like how long to let your baby cry. Mm-hmm. We might advise someone to, you can let them cry the entire nap time before they get it. And
Yep.
someone else, you know what, go in and check them every 10 minutes. So I think it really is very baby specific, age specific, mm-hmm. Parental specific, and there's not one size fits all.
Sure. And if you're looking for more details on that, you can go to our website, mybabycansleep.com. You can go on Amazon and get a copy of our #1 best-selling book, which is what is filled on the bookshelves right back here. These are real, actual books. It's a copy of our #1 best-selling baby sleep book there. And we're going to sign off. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're on YouTube. Subscribe to us on iTunes or Spotify, wherever you're listening. And if you are on iTunes, a 5-star review would absolutely be fantastic. And we'll see you, Mom and Dad, on the next one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.